Hi, I'm Harold Bell for the Legends of Inside Sports, and as promised, I told you a few segments ago that we wanted to come back and talk about the late great Nelson Mandela, his trials and tribulations for his country, and how he sacrificed, for South Africa. He left it a better place than he found it. And Jim and I will go and talk about Nelson for a bit. But the next voice you hear will be that of the great K.C. Jones, former Boston Celtic great. And then Jim, you'll hear Jim Brown. Okay, I'll see you a little later. Right back.
Hi, I'm Casey Jones, winning 8 NBA championships as a player for the Boston Celtics and returning as a coach and leading the Celtics to 2 more NBA championships were great moments in my life. In the NBA, every game counts. In the game of life, every person counts. The 1990 census will help us improve schools, roads, hospitals, and many other community services. So please answer the census on April 1st. It counts for more than you think.
So what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? If I were a rich man, all day long I'd be bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. If I were a penny rich, man. The jackpots are bigger and better in the Maryland Lottery's Lotto game, where you now have more chances to win. Just pick 6 or 44 and you could win millions. So why fiddle around? Pick up your Lotto ticket at your nearby Maryland Lottery agent, and if you win, you won't have to work hard either. Wouldn't have to work hard. I were a wealthy man.
All right, welcome back to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Harold Bell, and of course, this is Black History Month, and we're taking a journey down the road and taking a look back about the rich black sports history that we have in this country. Before I get back to Jim, there was a piece in yesterday's Washington Post, and it was talking about black history being decried at a hearing. And I just want to read this to Jim because this is very interesting. And you want to know why we need black history. A lot of our youngsters are demanding black history, and I'm glad to hear that. It says LaDon Ray, a junior at Crosson High School in Prince George's County, enrolled with high expectations this year in an advanced placement class for American history at the school in Temple Hills. The 16-year-old was especially looking forward to February, Black History Month, when she expected the teacher to delve deeply into Black American and African history. More than 2 weeks into the month, Ray says she has learned no more than she would in a regular American history course. All we learned is that we were slaves, we were emancipated, and that Martin Luther King is our hero. LaDon said we have learned nothing about our heritage. If you don't get it in an advanced placement class, where can you get it at school? Ray's comment came last night at the first public hearing held by a panel charged with improving the academic achievement of black male students in Prince George's County schools. She was one of about 100 people whose suggestions to the committee during the almost 5-hour hearing at Suitland High School ranged from returning prayer to schools to requiring sensitivity training for teachers. But most of the comments concerned the desire to add instruction in Black American history and African studies to the regular school curriculum. Young lady, I take my hat off to you because you are one of the few youngsters and need to be more like you who are demanding to know about their history. And I thought that was great, Jim.
It really was, no doubt about it.
Jim, let's take a look. And we haven't had a chance to talk since Mandela's release. What does this all mean, Jim, and where are we headed?
Well, I tell you, Harold, it's good for Mandela, of course, to be free. Your boy Jess is in behind the cameras over there. They got enough dissension among the different black cultures there. He has a tremendous job on his hands. He is brilliant in the way that he understands that in order for South Africa to really change, he has to deal with not only the blacks but the whites. And I think he's been doing that beautifully and not falling into those extreme positions that's really not going to be workable. I feel that once the ANC gets their total policy
politics together. I don't know if it's come out lately just how they're going to officially represent Mandela. Because as you know, when a man has gone away for a long time and you have an organization, a lot of times you can have problems within that organization. And we have to understand that reality. On the other hand, we have to understand that the Kirk has problems because he has extreme whites that are going to try to take his head off for doing what he's already done. And as you mentioned earlier, dialogue is always necessary. And for those who say that the Kirk shouldn't be able to talk to Bush or come to the United States, I think at this time would be a terrible mistake because there's going to be no way without the help of basically the major leaders that South Africa is going to work out so that blacks and whites will be able to have a place in that country.
Jim, of course, I fear, and I'm very apprehensive about this, and I hope my fears are wrong, but I fear, for the safety of de Klerk and Mandela at this stage of the game, man. These guys, de Klerk has taken on a tremendous amount of responsibility, and of course, Mandela is what Black Africa is all about now, and I am really scared about both of their safeties, man. Their safety.
Well, there's no doubt about that because the violence that's been in South Africa is almost unparalleled in the last 20 years. But 99% of that violence has been perpetuated against black people. And it's a very violent atmosphere there. And so, yes, in that kind of atmosphere, with so many different groups, both of their lives are in danger. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Jim, one thing I've been watching and listening very closely to is that they're saying that there are factions in the black group that wants Mandela out of the way too. Then there are factions with the white group. So what they're saying, if it goes down, you can't blame it on the white fellas.
Well, let me put it this way, and I think you might have said it once. If they're going to kill Mandela, they're surely not going to send a white-skinned man. They're going to send a black man, skin color.
Yeah.
Not a black man, but a black-skinned white man. I mean, when they killed Malcolm, they definitely weren't going to send white people up into that auditorium. But what, we must understand is that just because a man's skin is black doesn't make him black.
Amen.
You have undercover agents, you have CIA agents, you have terrorists, you have every kind of agent that's black that does someone else's work. That's the nature of a mercenary. You pay him, and he goes and does a job. So I think we have to be careful when we define ourselves strictly as black because of the color of our skin.
Yeah, we got some media people like us. I know exactly what you're talking about. Jim, of course, yeah, Jim, the guy on, I can't even think of his name, on 60 Minutes, Andy Rooney, said that the reason that we are in the back of the bus because we got watered down jeans. How do you water down someone's jeans, Jim?
You water them down by the white master going to the slave cabin and raping that black slave woman. That's how you start watering them down.
Yeah.
So if you tell him that, he's not going to like that. I talk about miscegenation. It sure didn't occur because blacks were going after whites. So if there's been any watering of our genes, it's because of the white man venting his passion on our women. Now, I went back there so you could take it on.
I don't really think I need to say anymore, Jim. I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, hey, Jim, you put me back. You made me sit up straight on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I never thought of it that way. That's how our genes got watered down. That's right, by the white man going and raping our black woman. That's how our genes got watered down. And that is the truth.
If you want to take it to modern day, go on any street where the prostitutes are walking and check out the clientele. Where the black prostitutes are, you go and see who the clientele is.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
And that'll tell you something about the history of our genes. But, as we are the dominant gene, and as the oldest remains of man was found in Africa, and you know that Africa and Egypt are basically the same thing, then you deal with who is the original man. Then you deal with who's worried about losing their identity to someone else. Then you understand the white man's situation and his irresponsible way of referring to us, because to do it in a responsible way would have to tell you what I just told you. And he's not going to be able to tell that true history, because that true history puts him in a secondary position.
Yeah. Before we take a break right here, I want to wish my wife, hope she's feeling better. She's a little under the weather, and my mom. Hope you both are feeling better. And I want to take time out too to say to the New Observer newspaper, that outstanding story that you did on the front page of me being a part of Black media history. I tell you, it was greatly appreciated, and you told it exactly like it was. And so Randy Williams and the staff at the New Observer, outstanding piece, and it's nice to see community newspapers like that get the word out of who's a part of Black history. And I am honored that you are saying that I am a part of Black media history. We're going to take a little break, and I'll be right back.
I'm over Ponds of the NBA Seattle Supersonics. April 1st is Census Day, but the census works for us every day. It will help us improve our schools, roads, hospitals, and other community services. Answer the census. It counts for more than you think.
Okay, welcome back to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Harold Bell. Of course, this is the Saturday edition of Inside Sports, and this is Black History Month. I have my co-host on the line right now, Mr. Jim Brown, the NFL Hall of Famer and the greatest running back to ever play in the National Football League. Jim, you got the last word on getting out of here. What are your thoughts on Black History Month, and where are we headed?
Well, actually, certain names come to mind when I think of Black history. And probably to me, the most talented individual that's really ever lived, multi-talented in society, activist individual, was the great Paul Robeson. Unfortunately, a lot of our Black students have never heard of him, which is appalling. But this man was a great athlete, a great scholar, a great singer, a great actor, and great activist. Spoke over 20-some languages, a lot of them African languages, was a constant threat to Washington, speaking out for Black rights, was a part of the so-called Peekskill riots, and yet died a broken old man, awarded the highest awards in London on the stage, given one of Russia's highest awards. And I think that we have to start punctuating these things when we have men that transcend any color, anything, but deal strictly with talent and their political bravery. On the other hand, I hear Black women complaining a lot about not being recognized. But there's a lady by the name of Madam C.J. Walker that became the first female millionaire in the United States, who did things back in the 1800s that are unparalleled today, because she was one that understood economics and took advantage of the fact that Blacks had to collectively be together. And the last thing I like to say, Harold, and talking about her, is that if anyone would study her, they would understand why we must really concentrate on economics. So the whole point is that we have let integration turn our heads away from our collective prosperity. And the only way we're going to ever be strong as a race is, once again, to deal with each other, to love each other, to bring our self-esteem up, and more importantly, not more important than loving each other, but very important from the standpoint of being a force in this society, do not allow everybody else to use our dollar, and do not allow it to circulate in our community only one time. If we let that happen, we'll never be a power as a collective race of people.
Jim, I understand that you're on location and you're doing a new movie. I know your time is very valuable, but I'd like to thank you for taking time out to be here on Inside Sports once again. And, much, much more success to you. You have been really one of the pioneers, a guy that has stood up way before his time. And we need more Jim Browns, because that's what it's all about, Jim.
Thank you, Harold. Give all the Warriors my best.
Okay.
Tell them to stay strong.
All right. Looking forward to next time, Jim. Yeah. Bye-bye. All right. That was the great Jim Brown, and I tell you, he's one of a kind. And once again, I want to thank my engineer, Joe, and my
Okay. Also, I want to thank Jim Brown and Casey Jones and Olden Polynice, the guys who took out their time at the NBA All-Star Game in Miami and did a piece for the Census Bureau, the 1990 Census Bureau. But this is 2014, and we gotta start looking ahead. I thought that was some great information that Jim passed on to us there. And hey, let's just keep on keeping on. Remember that every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face is not your enemy. Until next time, I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.